Hello and welcome to this last video of the series of the NPV and the payback period. In this video, I will just covering the payback period. In the previous video, I explained the NPV. We are going to need the values of NPV or the values of the previous calculation, not the net present value, but the previous calculation for calculating the payback period. And I will also explain whether to go for payback period or NPV as a method of assessment. Let's actually have a look at the previous figures that we have here. Okay, remember that the net cash flow was with a 10% and the cost of capital. But for the payback period, we are not interested in any calculations with the cost of capital. As a matter of fact, we only need the net cash flow, which is these values here. So when they are in the Dragon's Den, they ask a question, how much you're going to actually make on the first year? How much you're going to make in the second year, the third year, the fourth year? Okay, they're not asking for anything related with the cost of capital. They're just giving the sales that you are considering you're going to have, okay? Considering your prices and the quantities that you think you're going to sell. That is why it's so important that you consider these values here only, okay? The ones on the top, the net cash flow, when we're going to calculate the net present, the payback period. Let's actually go to our payback period. And we start with year 0. And in year 0, actually, we don't have any value. So we have the only value, we don't have any sales, sorry. The only thing we have is the negative number, which is the investment that we're making. And what is cumulative? So we need to know how much we had before. Before, we didn't have anything. So we have 0. I can actually add this to 0 if you like, and I'm going to have the same value. So in year 0, where I'm going to bring a negative number, obviously, all right? Then in year 1, I just need to copy what was my cash flow of year 1, which is 1145. 1145 and three zeros. Then, of course, now this 1145 is getting a return over the 3 million negative that I had before. So the cumulative cash flow is simply this value that I carried before plus this value that I have now. So it's actually, it's still going to be a negative number because 3 million negative is more than 1145. If I press, you're going to see that I still have a negative value here. Now for year 2, I still need to have the cash flow for year 2, which is 1,243,600. This number goes here, 1,243,600. And then I need the same for year 3, 1,346,144. 1,346,144. And I need the same for year 4, which is 1,384,790. Then, in order to calculate the cumulative cash flows, because I've already have the formula of adding the number before plus the number that I have below, I don't have to still type anything or still click on any cells because it's going to carry the same numbers. So I'm just going to have to drag it down. So what do I need to look at here? So I can see that this is a negative number, negative number, negative number, then it becomes a positive number. That means from a negative 611,400, it becomes positive. So from a negative number to a positive number, I have to pass through 0 for sure. Okay. That 0 is when I have all my return back. So I have got all the return on the 3,000. Okay. It started to be negative until it was 0, and then it starts to be positive. As you can see in year 3, it becomes positive, and year 4 it will be positive, and the other years will be even more positive. So my payback period, I know that is between year 2 and year 3. So I can put that is 2 years and a number of months. Okay, I can explain you. Okay, it could be a very lengthy calculation, a very lengthy explanation, I would say, about how you do that. But I would make it very simple. What are the two values that only that you have to look at? Is this value here, but we don't want it to be negative because there's no negative money. I'm going to put negative. This value here, it will give me a positive value. So the first you have to look is at the negative value that you need to have here and make it positive. And the second value that you need to look is at the cash flow of year 3. And then you have two values here. Okay. And I just need to divide the first value divided by the second value. That gives me a number of 0.45. Okay. 0.45 is a number doesn't tell me much in terms of months, isn't it? But I need to multiply this value by the number of months that a year has. How many months a year has? Obviously 12. And press enter, and I can see that the number is 5.45. I'm not going to get into 5.45. I'm just going to say 5 months. So I can see that the payback period is in 2 years and 5 months. Okay. So how do I know that is 5 years and 5 months? Okay. So if it's an even figure, imagine it's 600,000, let's say, instead of being 611, let's say 600,000 negative and 600,000 positive. 600,000 negative and 6,100 positive will be exactly in the middle. So what is the middle? 6 months. Okay. But you can see here 600,011, 703,000. You can see that it's closer to the 611. That's why it's 5 months and not 6. If I had 611,400 negative and 611,400 positive, the number would be exactly in the middle. But in this case, it's not exactly in the middle because 734 is more. Okay. That's why it's 2 years, 5 months. Okay. But you just need to divide one number, the number that I told you negative, and the number that I told you positive, to find divided two numbers and multiply by 12 to get the number of months. Okay. So you can say that is 545. Okay, which is about 5 months, basically. Now, is this a good method? Payback period. Well, it is a very simple method. That is why it is used by people in the Dragon's Den and Still Door Sugar. Ask, okay, when am I going to have my return back? What is the payback period? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? It all depends on the type of investment that you're going to make. For example, if you're going to invest in building a hotel, that's a massive type of investment. It takes time to recover that. Okay. So according to your previous investments, if you are a seasoned investor, okay, like Low Sugar, he said, well, if something doesn't give me a return in 3 years, 4 years, so the payback period is 3 or 4 years, it's not worth investing. It is some sort of instinct, some sort of experience that the person has got over time. So I have invested in hotels before, and if it doesn't give me in 7 years my return, I shouldn't be investing. That's why I'm asking. Okay. They say, no, 12 years. I say, no, forget it. Okay. It's too risky. So it's a simple method, but there is a big but. okay, that doesn't consider the time value of money. That is the main problem of the payback period. Is payback still used? The answer is yes, 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 still used because of its simplicity. But which one is normally preferred? Normally preferred is net present value because it considers the time value of money, particularly important in a country where the money loses value over time because there is devaluation. Okay, perhaps less important in countries like the UK, where the pound is more stable, okay, or the Eurozone, where the euro is more stable, but still does not consider the time value of money. That's why still NPV may be preferred by people who have who are more on as an investor analyst and so forth. So thank you very much. This was my last video about NPV and payback. Here you have the explanation of the payback period. Thank you very much.